In the shadowy corners of World War II history, there's a story that refuses to die. It's a story whispered in naval bars, dissected in UFO circles, and splashed across the pages of conspiracy books for decades. A tale about a US Navy destroyer that supposedly vanished, not just from sight, but from existence, only to reappear miles away. A story that some say involves secret government experiments, invisibility, teleportation, and a deadly cover-up. The date, October 28, 1943. The place, the Philadelphia Naval Shipyard. The ship, the USS Eldridge. According to the legend, what happened next defied the laws of physics, and perhaps reality itself. Welcome to Lore of the Multiverse, where history's strangest corners come alive. If you love deep dives into mysteries, conspiracies, and stories that blur the line between fact and fiction, hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and join us, because tonight, we're pulling apart one of the most enduring legends in modern mystery lore, the Philadelphia Experiment. The official history of the USS Eldridge is simple. Commissioned in August 1943, it was a cannon-class destroyer escort built for anti-submarine warfare. It served in the Atlantic, protecting convoys, hunting U-boats, and never seeing any action stranger than a few tense encounters on the high seas. But the story we're here for says something very different happened in Philadelphia. According to multiple accounts, most famously from a man named Carl Allen, also known as Carlos Allende, the Navy was working on a project to make ships invisible to radar. This was the height of World War II, and radar technology was still new but deadly effective. If a ship could be hidden from it, it could slip past enemy defenses undetected. But the experiments, the story goes, went far beyond radar and visibility. Witnesses claimed that on that October day, the USS Eldridge was fitted with massive generators and mysterious equipment. Power cables snaked across the deck. A greenish-blue haze surrounded the ship. And then, in front of stunned onlookers, it began to fade, not just from view, but from existence. Some say the air crackled with electricity. Others claim they could see the faint outline of the Eldridge shimmering, then, nothing. The water where it had been was empty. Minutes later, hundreds of miles away in Norfolk, Virginia, the ship supposedly reappeared. And just as suddenly, it vanished again, returning to Philadelphia as if nothing had happened. The wildest part of the story isn't the teleportation itself, it's what supposedly happened to the crew. Some were said to be violently ill, vomiting and disoriented. Others were burned, as if by intense radiation. The most chilling claims describe sailors fused into the bulkheads of the ship, their bodies embedded in solid metal, alive but screaming. Some vanished entirely, never to be seen again. And a few never regained their sanity. It's the kind of horror that sounds pulled from a sci-fi movie, except this story has been repeated and expanded for decades, each telling adding strange details. Carl Allen claimed he had learned of the experiment while serving on the SS Andrew Farusith, a merchant ship in the vicinity. He said he corresponded with astronomer and UFO researcher Morris K. Jessup in the 1950s, sending letters describing the event. Jessup, intrigued, began digging, but his life would later take a tragic turn, fueling even more conspiracy theories. The Navy, of course, has always denied everything. Official statements insist no such experiment ever took place, that the USS Eldridge was never in Philadelphia on the date in question, and that the physics described are impossible. But denials haven't stopped the speculation. Supporters of the theory point to government research into electromagnetic fields and camouflage during the war. They connect it to the work of Nikola Tesla, who was known for his experiments in wireless energy transmission, and to the theories of Albert Einstein, particularly his unfinished, unified field theory, an attempt to link gravity and electromagnetism. In this telling, the Philadelphia experiment was an outgrowth of that work, an attempt to bend light, space, and even time around an object. The result? Temporary invisibility, and unintended side effects. There's also the broader context of the era. World War II was a time of scientific leaps, radar, sonar, jet engines, nuclear weapons, all developed in a few frantic years. Secret projects were the norm. If something like the Philadelphia experiment had happened, it would have been buried deep, just like the Manhattan Project was until Hiroshima. But the skeptics have plenty to say. Historians note inconsistencies in the timeline. Ship logs from the USS Eldridge and other vessels don't place it anywhere near Philadelphia on the date in question. And many of the wilder claims, sailors fused into steel, teleportation to Norfolk, come from sources who were either secondhand or prone to exaggeration. In the skeptical view, the experiment was likely a misunderstanding of standard Navy tests, such as degaussing, a real process that uses electric cables to reduce a ship's magnetic signature and protect it from magnetic mines. To an uninformed observer, the strange cables and humming machinery might have looked like something far more exotic. Still, the story has a grip that facts can't seem to loosen. Over the decades, it's been tied to UFO lore, time travel theories, and even the infamous Montauk Project, another alleged military experiment involving mind control and dimensional portals. Movies, TV shows, and novels have all adapted the Philadelphia experiment, each time amplifying the mystery. For some, it's an entertaining what if. For others, it's proof that the government hides its most astonishing breakthroughs behind walls of denial. And maybe that's why this legend endures. The Philadelphia experiment lives in the sweet spot between possibility and impossibility. Science says it couldn't happen, but history has shown us that science itself is always evolving. Yesterday's impossibilities are often today's headlines. If the experiment never happened, it's one of the most elaborate and persistent myths in modern history. If it did happen, it would change our understanding of physics, warfare, and reality itself. Carl Allen died in 1994, still insisting his story was true. The USS Eldridge was sold to Greece in the 1950s, serving under a new name until it was scrapped in the 1990s. Whatever secrets it might have held are gone, or at least, out of reach. But the question remains, did the US Navy briefly pierce the veil of reality in 1943? Did they glimpse a power so dangerous it had to be buried forever? Or was it nothing more than wartime rumor, transformed over decades into legend? Maybe we'll never know. Or maybe, somewhere in a classified archive, there's a faded report stamped top secret that tells the whole story, and confirms that, for a few minutes in 1943, a ship and her crew slipped into another place entirely. If you enjoyed this dive into one of history's strangest and most controversial legends, hit that like button, subscribe to Lore of the Multiverse, and let us know in the comments. Do you think the Philadelphia experiment really happened, or is it all just a story that got out of control? Until next time, keep your mind open, and your reality anchored.